Good morning. It's Friday. We're at the end of our week. Sorry I missed Tuesday. I'll apologize for that again. But we are here at the end of the week, and this week I've got a real treat in store for you. Because, as always, we've got Spirit Animal Oracle, Viking Oracle, Runes of the Gods Oracle. But I chose the holographic Rider-Waite and Oracle of the Hidden Worlds. I don't know why, but those two seemed like a good pairing. And I thought maybe we would take a look into something. Maybe today. Not maybe. Definitely getting that feeling of there'll be a little revelation going on. So I want you to grab a cup of tea or grab a cup of coffee, a cup of orange juice, whatever your favorite breakfast beverage is. I want you to sit down. You can pause this. I'll tell you when. Go grab that. Get yourself situated. This one's likely to be a bit longer of a read than usual. But more importantly than anything, I want you to just make yourself comfortable. Because I've already asked, what do we need to know for this weekend? What do we need to know to really kind of make the most of it? Well, I can tell you this much. I came home yesterday evening to something I never thought in a million years I would own. And I was flipping through those books last night. It was the core rule books to first edition Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. Let me tell you something, they didn't spark any memories because I was a little too young for those. See, I was born probably about the year before those were published. I think I was, by the time I had heard of it, or knew that it was a game, it was absolutely forbidden to me. So I didn't get in on those books when I could have. Instead, I got into the second edition. That's where I got my start. So this isn't really for nostalgia. I'm just looking into them. I think these books are fascinating, and I think they're interesting reads. And there's something in those kinds of books that each of us can identify with. That's what I want to look for. What can we identify with in this reading today? And what can we use to carry through the weekend to kind of maximize this weekend? See how we really, make the most of our time. I know I'm probably going to spend a lot of my time reading. Exactly what, I don't know yet. But for now, I'm going to read these cards. How about it? Alright. So, as we conclude this week, I hope you have a great weekend. I hope that whatever rough patches you've had have been thoroughly smoothed out, and hopefully they're over by now. I know I had a rather rough day yesterday. A lot of stuff just kind of going on that just, doesn't really sit too well with me. But, you know what? Let's just say that when this week concludes and everything's done and out of the way, I don't think I'm going to much care about it, I really don't. So, I hope that's where we are. I hope we're in a carefree state where we can just kind of do anything, maybe we'll watch some really terrible movies. You know, movies that are considered bad because, well, they don't have the production standard of a modern movie. Maybe we'll read some really old books and get some new ideas. Maybe those ideas will be good. Good enough to get the right people involved and to further them. You know when an idea is good? It's when it benefits everyone. And it doesn't have to be forced. I don't know that any of that is really going to pop up in today's reading. But you know what? You have all weekend to consider it. And we have all weekend to make the most of it. And for those of you just joining this channel, this is what we were talking about yesterday. In yesterday's video, I mentioned that this is what a full reading looks like. That's why I call it Full Scale Friday. Because this is the kind of layout I'll do. And sometimes there are extra cards, and they do take a while because they're personalized to you. They answer your questions. And all you gotta do is throw me a book or a new deck or a new tarot cloth from the Amazon wish list or the Drive-Thru RPG wish list, and you get to have 2 of those questions answered. And I give you an extra reading for your birthday. You know, just to see how your year is about to shape up. So, let's see what revelations we can unpack today, starting, of course, with you watching this right now. Remember when I said yesterday that your sacrifices will pay off? We also had Odin and Freya appear yesterday. And I told you, Freya gets the first pick of the battle dead. Those who sacrifice their lives standing for something, sacrificing themselves for their, for their communities, their towns, their kingdoms, or whatever. They go to her hall of Sessrumnir in Folkvanger, and then Odin picks whoever else is left from the battle dead to go to Valhall in Asgard. And that's what the halls represent. An ultimate reward for the sacrifices you have had to make. Now, whether that's sacrificing your time, your effort, your energy, the things that you love the most, whatever that looks like to you, that is an indication of final victory with it. You know what? Maybe those sacrifices end up costing you way more than you thought. But I can assure you, just from that card, just from that one card, those sacrifices that you embody, the final reward is a lot greater. May not seem like it at first, but I guarantee you eventually, whether it's just a door that's open, or whether it's someone backing up a colossal truck full of gold and just dumping it on your doorstep, not all final reward is equal, but they're always what is best for you. And of course you're being guided by Saul, the sun. This is where you need to understand something. Sure, your sacrifices are going to pay off, but you have to now pursue a higher state. You have to pursue something much greater than yourself. Otherwise, what are you making those sacrifices for? What is it you're striving for? Remember yesterday, I've been talking about this book that I've been reading called The New Magus by Donald Tyson. And a bit of the perspective it gives is that you can pursue power. However, if you're pursuing power and influence for the sake of power and influence, eventually that power will become absolute. And we know one thing, absolute power corrupts absolutely. We know that. All you gotta do is turn on C-SPAN and you'll see shining examples of it. They're all over the place. You know, I had a conversation once with I used to work in a prison, and one of the inmates in one of my dorms decided to go on and extol the virtues of being a real gangsta. And we were headed to the TV area of this dorm as I was on my way out of it, and I said, "Oh, you're a real gangsta, huh?" He said, "Yeah, Sarge, I'm a real gangsta." Like, oh, okay. Just so happened CNN was on, and this was shortly after 9/11. So there's a lot of politicians slinging all kinds of legislation around that there was practically no time to write, much less read, in the hours and days post 9/11. And I pointed to that TV and I said, "I want you to take a good hard look at that TV right there. What do you see?" He's like, "Oh, that's a bunch of politicians." I was like, "No, those are real gangsters." And I'll explain it to you the way I explained it to him. They will rip off an entire nation. They will send your children to war. They will grift. They will scam. They will do all of this, and they will face absolutely no consequences. The only colors that they actually wear are blue suits, and the only color they really give a damn about is green. And they'll face no consequences. You've heard the term by hook or by crook, and let me tell you, they use both. I want to say in equal measure, but they use crook more than hook. A real gangsta. And not only that, but these days they're doing it far more blatantly and flagrantly. That is power. That is influence for the sake of power and influence. But if you're pursuing something much greater, striving to better yourself, perfect yourself, and you will never be perfect, but if you're always striving to perfect yourself, the power and influence comes along with the territory. But don't you know something? By the time you have attained it, it won't matter to you. Sure, it will be nice, but it's not going to be worth misusing. Do you see what I'm saying? Those who strive after money for the sake of money, well, they get it. You ever wonder what drives people, these ultra-rich people, to commit so many crimes? I'll tell you what it is. It's the same thing that drives a poor person who commits crimes. Desperation. You know, one more thing in this tangent, and I'm promise you I will link it all together. Reading Robert E. Howard's Conan the Barbarian series, I can tell you that when I watch the movie now, and Mako's narration says that he became king by his own hand, and he wore his crown on a troubled brow, I know why Conan was troubled, and I don't even need a third movie for it. Would you like me to share that secret? Conan spends his entire life adventuring, and when he becomes king by his own hand, he never has to worry where his next meal is coming from, never has to worry about where his next woman is coming from, where his next goblet of wine is coming from. He knows where they're coming from, and he can have them at his command at any time. The fact of the matter is, he's lost the adventure. He's lost the struggle. For a poor person, the desperation is that security of knowing where that next meal is coming from, and whether or not they're going to have any kind of housing or something like that. There's a desperation there. For the ultra wealthy person, the opposite end of that spectrum, for the powerful and the influential, the desperation for stimulation sets in. Now, how does this tie into those two cards? It's very simple. The struggle should always be there. Some type of it should always be there. The struggle should never end. Because if it ends, it means you're dead and you have nothing else to learn. But as shown here, you still have something to learn. Let's see what your spirit animal looks like. Didn't I say you still have something to learn? You always have something to learn. So use your mind very wisely. Now is not the time to veg out and check out. It's not time for that. I know I told you I'd say when to pause. I'm sorry I didn't. If you need to go back, now's a good time. But now's a good time to stimulate your mind. Even if you're completely broke, there are still many resources out there. You ever heard the saying, the best things in life are free? Happens to be true. Even in tabletop role-playing circles, we alert each other all the time. Hey, here's a free source book. May not be your particular style, but it's free. You can always check it out. And if you don't like it, well, delete the file. 9 times out of 10, it's a PDF, ladies and gentlemen. But to me, that's okay. As my friend Sam's once said on Twitter, if it's free, it's for me. Plenty of stuff out there is for free. You know, you can carry your local library on this thing. No kidding, you have access to it. Library cards, in most cases, they're free. Just, kind of look up your local library, see about getting your library card, and if they participate in Hoopla, which is a library app, download that to your phone. Go set up an account. on hoopladigital.com. Sign in through the app, and there you go. You got free movies, you've got free audiobooks. I'm not kidding. Plenty of stuff there. Ebooks, you can read those books on your phone or your tablet, and there you go. And it's free. You can borrow so many titles per month. You can, hey, if you like comic books, I can tell you one thing, I love reading Gru the Wanderer. He's like the dumbest version of every barbarian trope you can think of, and my goodness, it's hilarious. Or you can learn something. You can learn anything you want to learn. And if you don't have the money for the books, that's fine. Just, go check one out. Read it for about maybe like, an hour a day. Just break it up into 25-minute blocks. Before too long, you'll know something you didn't know before. Alright, let's look at your tarot, see what's going on. So in the mind, we have a King of Pentacles in reverse, a Hangman in reverse, but we also have a Five of Pentacles in reverse. Let's start with this King of Pentacles in reverse, because this looks like you really just don't have that mastery over the physical. You don't have mastery over your money. Maybe you've been just a touch irresponsible. Well, let me tell you something. For all the books that I buy, for all the things that I occasionally purchase, groceries and bills always come first. They have to. It's called budgeting. You got to learn how to budget. You got to learn how to set yourself up a cushion between now and next paycheck. You need to learn those kinds of things. You also got to learn how to buy a few assets. Buy a little silver, buy a little gold if you can. Hey, if you can't afford anything else, copper is still a precious metal. And I don't know if any of you are aware of this, but crypto is on sale right now. So if you missed that last crypto surge, hey, it's low right now. And this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. But I'm sure the basic concepts that I'm speaking from experience, well, let me tell you something. Just buy and hold. Doesn't have to go any further than that. Just buy and hold. And eventually, those things that you buy, the gold, the silver, the copper, the platinum, palladium, whatever, crypto, eventually it's going to go up in value. And guess what? You're going to be holding a bag of it. Like I said, if you can't buy a lot, just buy a little. Buy one silver coin every so often, and just stick it in a fire safe or like a lock box. Stash it away somewhere. Just buy one every paycheck and just toss it in there. Doesn't have to be anything special, just the cheapest silver coin you can buy. If you want to buy a half ounce, buy a half ounce. Doesn't matter. But right now, there is a lack of peace that goes with that. And I'm thinking maybe this will motivate you a little bit for this one, this Five of Pentacles in reverse. Normally this means you feel like you've been left out in the cold. Well, if you're learning, that's not going to happen anymore. And that's sort of an outcome. Mentally, if you're prepared, guess what? Physically, things start taking a turn. Because it will be time for you to step out and emerge. It'll be time for you to show off your skill. That new skill that you learned can start to take you places you've never been before. But this is a warning sign. If you're not going to work, it's not going to work out. Remember, for something to work out, you have to work at it. It's going to leave you feeling like this. Let me tell you something about just my own little adventures with crypto. You can feel quite betrayed. You really can. But you know what? I don't feel that way, and I'll tell you why I don't feel that way. I don't feel that way because I have put in the work and the research, and that's what this is telling you right here. You have to do your own due diligence. If you don't, this is the consequence of it. You'll feel like a whole lot of people lied to you, stabbed you in the back, and left you for dead, and that's just not true. Let me tell you something about just investing in anything in general. Whether it's silver, gold, crypto, whatever. It has its ups, it has its downs. Price action can be volatile at times. There are days where it will surge to the new heights and it'll crash to new lows. Like I said, the learning never ends. I hope that's like really kind of gelling in your mind right now. And we're not talking just about investments and things. We're not just talking about money, though. We have a lot of pinnacle cards out here, and that's what's taking center stage, is something very real and physical. What we're talking about is you practicing a sort of magic. And let me explain this just a bit. If you set your mind to, I want to be obscenely wealthy, as long as you learn, you will do that. However, remember, we're talking about taking a higher path. We're talking about those sacrifices coming into play. We're talking about using your mind wisely. And here's what I'm telling you. Pursuing that higher state means, you know, if I were as wealthy as someone like Elon Musk, well, I could, let's see, there's a food bank very close to me that they're suffering lately, and I might be able to alleviate their suffering so that they can alleviate the suffering of others. You see what I'm saying? Now you have a higher mindset to pursue that wealth, to do better things. Always keep that higher mindset in mind. Have every focus on that higher mindset. And then when you do accumulate and achieve your wealth, you do exactly what your mind was set to in the first place. That is the best example I can give you. And it's a great segue into the spiritual here, which is Nine of Swords. And we have a Six of Pentacles in reverse. We also have a Queen of Swords in reverse. The reason that you're up with worry again is because you're going to overcorrect. See, this is someone who, this is a fool who worries all night about the problems, and when morning comes, they're fatigued, and the problem still exists. I'm paraphrasing Havamal 23 again, but there it is. And it comes from this. The overcorrection. This is, to me, it's symbolizing an overcorrection. That overcorrection being, you know, I can do this now. I can help now. And perhaps you can. But remember, you can only give so much before you start to crumble, and you're not doing it wisely. You're not cutting through the layers of bullshit, and you're allowing in your altruism to be absolutely scammed. So it looks like there's a spiritual warning sign here, letting you know you're deviating from your guide. Don't let that happen. You have to be able to be a little, look, let me help you with something, okay? If you have millions of dollars, yes, you could solve all these problems. But then what's left for you? Because now you're the one with the problem. You've given all of it away. All of it. Every bit of it. Sure, you've made a great reputation for yourself, but if you're living in a one-bedroom shack somewhere, that's going to be of very little comfort. You're going to have to reserve something for yourself. You have to take care of yourself and your family, and you have to continue that so that the aid you provide can continue to others. Look at The Dark Knight. Was it The Dark Knight Rises? I think it was that third Christopher Nolan Batman film, and there's Bruce asking Alfred, "Hey, whatever happened to the that home for homeless boys that we were backing?" And Alfred said, "Well, you know, when Wayne Enterprises when we put all the money into Applied Sciences Division, well, you know, make your new toys, well, we ran out of money, and kind of takes money to fund that kind of thing, so they had to close their doors." Just something to consider. Oh, don't get me wrong, Bruce cared. He wanted to see that succeed. Unfortunately, his focus shifted. While it went to a noble cause in ridding Gotham of crime, making criminals frightened again, it also had an unintended consequence. You can make sacrifices, but you cannot make them to the point of your absolute detriment, because your continued contributions won't continue. It's not sustainable. It won't last. You have to take care of you and your family first before you take care of anyone else. Set yourself on stable ground and you can pull others up with you. If you learn something, you can teach that something. Making sense? Hope so. Let's look into the hidden worlds for a little bit. See what's going on. So right here in the mind, we have healing the earth. That comes with love, humility, and respect. I want you to take a good, close look at this picture. I'm not really going to say much. I just want you to look at it. Because in your mind, this is what's going on. Love, humility, and respect. Let me tell you something. It's not about showing off what you can do. That's not it at all. What it's about is not internalizing all the world's ills. There are things you will never be able to solve, not single-handedly. You cannot throw up the virtue signal, because that's not what this is about. That is not that higher state. In many cases, doing what you really want to do will have to come with doing it anonymously. As anonymously as you can possibly do it. Never getting that name recognition, never getting that pat on the back. Are you prepared to sacrifice that for something greater than yourself? That is going to be the question that should be on your mind. Right here in the physical, we have a sacred journey. So here we have that introversion, seeker, self-knowledge. You're going to have to look inward and do some serious soul searching in order to make sense of what it is you truly desire. And that is the question that I want to put into your mind right now. What do you want and why? Don't worry, if the concept is a noble one, then that's fine. But it's in how you execute it that makes it really noble or not. Finally, for the spiritual, we have the Green Man. So this is rising, energy surge, and fertility. It's a prime season for it. We're still in spring, ladies and gentlemen. We're still in that little bit of growth here. We're about to enter summer, don't you know? It's only 3 days away. Only 3. You should let those seeds that you planted from yesterday grow and start to nurture them. You should always tend them. But you have to be ready to sacrifice your ego, yourself. It's all about me, 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 me. Ladies and gentlemen, the books I read, I don't read because I want to become some ultra powerful guy floating in the middle of town with a cape on my back. In fact, you can take that archetype and shove it. I don't want it. The things I do, the things I learn are really just, I mean, don't get me wrong, this is a, I love doing this. That's why I do this. I just love doing it. But what I really want out of it, I don't want a cult. I want you to take something like this and say, hey, if it sparks that little something, hey, you know what, I've always wanted to learn that. Let me go do that. And then you learn, you practice, you do until you've got that sucker down pat. Then you learn some more, then you learn some more, then you learn some more, and you keep integrating that until the day comes where you say, hey, I can do a lot with what I got now. Let me go try something. And you do it just for the sake of doing it. To be that powerful. Without worrying about ever being powerful. You're not doing it for power's sake, and that's the key. So look at your runes for this weekend. We have Fehu. We're talking about that wealth and abundance. So what do you have an abundance of right now? How can you use that? Because this to me symbolizes the now. You're thinking about it. Okay, you want the millions of dollars. You want the, you want to be as rich as Elon Musk or, half the politicians that go in on a 6-digit salary coming out with like 7, 8, 9 digits. Wonder how they did that if they weren't corrupt, huh? And let's face it, some of them are so corrupt they got to screw their pants on. You know what most of you have that they don't? A mind. A mind that hasn't been enslaved, and if it has, it's time to break loose. Because the prison's imaginary. It's vapor. It's as real as a $1 bill. Next rune, Thurisaz. We talked about the struggle, and here it is. We've also talked about rising to meet your challenges. What keeps you from becoming the most powerful being in your universe, in your circle, what keeps you from becoming the most powerful person you know? Ladies and gentlemen, don't follow me. You need to be able to follow you, and in order to do that, you need to become a much better version of you. Just like I need to become a much better version of me. I'm not excluded from this, not at all. In fact, I've seen a lot in here that pertains to me as well, and I do every day. But it's the reason you tune in, isn't it? To find out where we all tune into this, to tell us what needs fixing and what we're doing right sometimes. It's not always about what we're doing wrong. Some things are just a warning sign. Hey, the bridge is out, take a detour. It'll take you longer to get there, but you'll still get there, and you'll get there safely and in one piece. And you do have protection along the way. You have to awaken yourself, though. And you have to understand that success is a journey. It's not a destination. We got Rider-Waite yesterday. Good old Rider-Waite. Taking us on our journey. Where are we going? And ladies and gentlemen, those viewing right now, may I offer one little piece of wisdom that I've come across in my 43 years on this planet. Everything is a journey. The journey never ends, and it stops only at your rather untimely demise. Now, I said it before, we're all time travelers. We're all moving forward through time, and my question is this. You know how the movie ends. But here's the question. This is the reason I love the game 10 Candles so much. Because every player character in the game is going to die. It's the ultimate outcome to the game. You're not taking a character from one session to the next. Your character lasts one session. Here's the question. What do they do in the meantime? Between now and the time that the darkness overtakes them, what do they do? That choice is yours, but you're being called to something much higher. Much higher than yourself, much higher than me. Something larger. Something bigger, something greater. I think I'm going to wrap this up with one thing. And it's something that occurred to me on the way home. If you're truly at peace with yourself, if you can accept that you have flaws and that you'll work on them as you need to, or as you can, if you accept that you are the way you are and the way you are right this second, strip off all the crap, take it all off. Take off all the anything you use to present yourself. Take yourself just down to the basic t-shirt, sweatpants, and, well, Crocs if you're wearing them. Take it down to that. Take off all the makeup, ladies. I want all of you watching right now, after this, go look at yourself in the mirror. Strip down to nothing but basic you. Take a good long look. Now, here's the next step. I want you to ask yourself if you're truly happy. I want you to ask yourself if you're okay with you. I want you to ask yourself if you love yourself. And I want you to be honest. Because just as you can't take care of anyone else financially, you can't love, no one else can love you if you don't love yourself, if you don't treat yourself well. And that's just fact of the matter, ladies and gentlemen. And it is right here. Those moments of struggle don't define you, they refine you. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you. The most beautiful of flowers had to push through so much dirt to get there. And every day is a new version of that struggle. Sometimes it's the same old struggle. The best knives in the world had to be treated with extreme heat. Beaten, molded, forged, melted down, poured into a mold, and then ground away, polished. I'm serious. If you ever want to know what that's like, just go look up how it's made on YouTube and look for anything involving like knives or tools, and you'll see. Keep all that in mind when you're looking in the mirror. And remember these words. I love you all. Please take care of yourselves and each other. Always do what lights you up. And as always, my friends, shine on. Yeah, it's a post-credit scene. Yeah, I keep feeling like there's always more to these ratings, but I don't know. About to just take this picture, though. There we go. Going to send that over to the computer. Just like so. And there we are. I should probably do a Viking Oracle card for this Friday, and I probably will, just for high notes. I would pop up a poll, but I don't know. It seems a little too soon for a poll. And on top of that, well, I don't know. I'm not sure I'd even get a select set of answers before morning, so I gotta get up super early. That's why I'm doing this why I'm doing this as a sort of midnight-ish release. A lot of stuff in there about money, love, success. It's almost like a VH1 behind the music on you. So what music are you making there? You know, what creative endeavor did you want to get into? Did you always want to learn an instrument or something like that? Well, it's never too late. Plenty of books out there to teach you. And you know what? I did just have a thought. You know, too often we do this. Oh, so you read a few books and now you know something. We always kind of, you know, I don't know why that is. We tend to shun people who have actually taken a book, cracked it open, read it, learned something from it, and now they're on to the next book to do the same thing. Oh, you didn't do it in a classroom setting. Why should I take you seriously? Well, because unlike that classroom setting, maybe that person cracked open a book and learned something. You know, self-taught doesn't really mean a lot. It doesn't mean anything. Nothing negative anyway. In fact, I kind of like it when people are self-taught. I tend to listen to them more. And why is very simple. More often than not, they have an insight on something that I didn't have. What about you? How do you handle, how are you handling the self-taught crowd these days? Because if you're scoffing at them, maybe now's not a good time to do that. Whole lot of self-taught people out there are really kicking some serious tail. Kicking major ass. Rocking and rolling. Let me tell you something. The job that I have right now, you know there are people going to college for that? Know what else they're doing? Internships. Want to know what those internships pay? Big old goose egg. They are basically doing unpaid work. Except that it does go towards, credits toward their courses. So there is that. But they're actually doing the same job I'm doing. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen? I'm about to break your hearts with this. I've only got my high school diploma. I kind of just got promoted into that job. I had to learn it by doing it. But that doesn't mean my knowledge is any greater. The intern who works with us is the same to me as someone who got hired to come work there. I have to teach them exactly the same things that I learned. And you know what? I get to teach them all kind of little tricks and things that I learned that a pharmacy school will never teach. But I did forget to put a card back. So, for those of you scoffing at the self-taught or those who didn't step foot into a classroom, guess what? You're being helped every day by those same people. Not so funny meow, is it? Alright, so let's get this thing shuffled, shall we? Very powerful messages this week. I hope you were up to taking them. I hope they hit home. And you know what I hope the most? More than anything? That they make positive changes in your life. That's all I'm here to do. And if it makes a positive change in just one person's life, then I'll know I've done my job. There we go. I'll see you on high notes. Take care.